Hi there. I'm constantly asked, Keith, you do these awesome blogs. How can I come and hang out with you in your kitchen? Well, first of all, you can just ask, or you can be like my friend Sarah and have the desire to want to come back to my house and talk UFC. I'm very happy to be joined by my friend Sarah today. Sarah, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Keith. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Some of you might recall, some of you Whittier fans might recall, a couple years ago, Sarah joined me, and we had a bit of a debate. And now we're here not so much to debate, but so much to talk about what's going on in the UFC. So, Sarah, the reason I have Sarah here is because her knowledge of UFC is phenomenal. I always love chatting UFC with her, and I respect her opinion very much, even though from time to time our opinions might differ. But I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case today. Sarah, what the heck is going on with the UFC these days?
I don't know, Keith.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little annoyed, actually.
So let's start off. The first question, the obvious question is, does the UFC have a drug problem? We've looked at two main pay-per-view events.
Yep.
We've looked at the Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier, and then recently with Nick Diaz versus Anderson Silva. 3 of those 4 fighters have come back testing positive for some sort of a substance, whether it be cocaine, steroids, or marijuana.
Yeah.
And in both of these situations, drug tests took place about a month before these fights took place. So it's hard for me to see that the Nevada State Commission and the UFC didn't know what was going on. So
yeah.
So what the heck's happening, you think?
I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, like, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Anderson-Diaz fight, because whether or not it's going to be even turned into a no contest, because Diaz is his 3rd time, I believe, failing for weed. So he got a 6-month, a year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now the concept is what are they going to do? Are they
Yeah.
going to just do the right thing, kick him out, because anybody else would have been kicked out? But
Yeah.
because I find Dana White wants to turn the UFC a little bit more into the WWE,
Yeah.
you need that loudmouth like a Chael Sonnen.
Yeah. And and what Sarah's alluding to is our debate started off the last time we sat down and did this was I was saying that at the time I thought Chael Sonnen was the most important fighter in the UFC. And the thing of it was is that at the time I felt that way, but I was extremely disappointed when he came back for a second time, you know, testing positive and having I think 4 different illegal substances in his system. Yeah. But you look at this current situation, it's a little concerning because, okay, you've got Jon Jones with the cocaine. He goes into rehab for a day.
Yeah.
And then he comes out. And the UFC releases a statement basically saying, oh, we support him. And they fine him a measly $25,000.
Yeah.
And I think he ended up making $700,000 for the fight.
Yeah.
The second situation, you've got, you know, Anderson Silva. And they're like, well, we're going to wait and see what happens. But he's still going to go ahead and coach the Ultimate Fighter in Brazil. And then Diaz, the language that they used in the Diaz statement was a lot stronger. And the interesting thing is like I'm not condoning any of these substances. I mean, to each their own. But if you're a professional athlete, you really shouldn't be using these substances. But the thing is that marijuana is legal in certain states in the U.S. So that one to me is a little bit of a head scratcher. But cocaine and taking steroids, I don't understand how you can go lenient on your superstars, but you'd be more, you know, intolerant of somebody who's further down the rankings.
That's why I think actually Dana White really shouldn't be running the UFC anymore, to be honest, just because it's turning into a joke. I mean,
yeah.
like, so let's start off with Jon Jones. So I mean, to be honest with you, my personal opinion is the guy was probably in Las Vegas. He probably wanted to impress a stripper. He did a line of blow. He was partying. And then, like, he had some remnants. I mean, like, is the guy a cokehead? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, if a guy is jacked up on coke in a fight, then yeah, you know what? That's a performance enhancing because I guess you could kind of turn into, like, Superman or whatever.
Yeah. When smash.
Totally.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like, so having a day, like, the UFC had to respond. Like, they had to.
Yeah.
But I don't know how serious they're really taking it. With Anderson, I mean, my other question is like, he had a broken leg, he has a titanium rod in there. Like, what was the doctor prescribing him for him to heal? Did anyone look at that? Because it just seems odd. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but let's look at it. He's never once been caught or shown any kind of failure of any kind of test. When he actually showed up to the fight, he also looked scrawnier. He didn't look like old Anderson. And I'm sorry, you're taking steroids, you're going to look a little something. And then Diaz, I mean, well, he's the guy that everyone loves to hate, right? And I think, to be honest with you, I think it's a joke that they're taking the weed thing. 20 times more seriously than the other things, you know? So I agree with you. It's a joke.
The funny thing to me is that, so we did not watch the fight together, but we both watched the fight. And you're watching some of the antics that Diaz is pulling off and that, like, lying down. And you're watching that fight. It's like, that guy must be high. And he was. And he was. So, but
I thought that was so disrespectful at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it was
annoying.
obviously the mind games, and it's nothing that Anderson Silva himself hasn't done. But
well, he's trying to test him. He's testing him. No one's trying to pull Anderson out of his game by effing with him, you know? So he was just trying to see if you can see exactly that's what he was doing. Because Anderson always takes the first round to figure out his opponent. Yeah. So knowing that, he was just going to try and see if he could pull him out of his norm. Like, he also had the ring rust on top of that. So what a prime opportunity to try and mess with you and try and get you off your game, right? So
my whole thing is, so the UFC increased their pay-per-view prices this year. By $5, right? So they've already oversaturated their product. Yeah. I mean, you're getting 3 or 4 events every month, and to me, it's a little too much because when you get to the actual pay-per-views, you're not getting stacked cards, and I understand
you're not getting the card even close to what was announced.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that you might buy tickets to go see an event, but by the time the event gets close, somebody's backed out. Chris Weidman.
Yeah. It's a crapshoot.
You get to that situation. But my thing is that you're asking your fans to pay for a product, pay more for a product, which is becoming more and more corrupt. Yeah. Because George St. Pierre is somewhere on the South Shore, and you're saying Isidore saying, "I told you so." Yep. Because his whole thing was he wanted to go through, I think it was called WADA, and have a more intense testing, and people like Johnny Hendricks were against that. My whole thing is that if you've got nothing to hide, test me all day long. Correct. You could test me right now. The only thing you're going to find is traces of chocolate almonds. But you're not going to find anything, and I'm confident in that. But if you got these fighters who are so like skeptical, like, oh, I don't want to be tested.
Like Wanderlei Silva literally running away.
Yeah, exactly.
I think with that, which is a bigger piss off, to be honest with you, is the fact that I think there was like a Christmas card, and because it was so stacked, they charged an extra fee for it. But what's interesting is when you have a crap card and you don't have anybody fighting that's any good, how come you're not charging less? Oh, because you're Dana White and you're a rip-off artist. Thanks.
So the new headliner for the next UFC card is going to be Ronda Rousey and Kat Zingano. And the thing of it is, and with all due respect to Kat Zingano, if we go back to the history of Ronda Rousey's fights, it's probably not going to last very long.
The co-main though got injured, so now it's just like some other chick fight that like no one knows what's going on. So that's the co-main.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm all for women fighting in the UFC, and I think it's great. But again, I guess the second thing, if we move off of the drug issue for a minute, is what happened to champions actually defending their title. I mean, you've got people like Chris Weidman who are constantly injured. Cain Velasquez.
Look at Cruz. How long was he out with his belt?
Yeah,
forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just gets to the point where it's like, I think take the titles, have an interim fight. Let's keep these belts. Let's keep these belts in circulation. And when that champion comes back from whatever injury they have, they get the first shot at the title.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd like to see. So obviously, we're never going to see GSP return. I mean,
no, not until the drug testing, and he said that himself. He's like, I'm never going to go back to the UFC unless there's proper drug testing. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him at all.
No, nor do I. And the honest to God truth is that you're not hearing the UFC come out and saying, we've got a problem, we need to address it, we're going to do something about it. And we're just seeing more and more of a cover-up and kind of shoving it under the rug right now.
I think that's all that they know to do. Because, I mean, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
They bought all the competition. They have what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
You have to, they have to keep doing something. They have to react to something, whether you like it or not. It's still accommodating the situation.
I would just like to see them clean up the sport.
Yes.
Okay, Sarah's sticking around for a little while. That is part one. We're going to get to a couple more different hot topics, if you will, that are happening here in the UFC. Thank you so much for checking out this blog, and come back for part two.